Hello, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the SEC Morning Report, a show we do each and every weekday here on Monday through Thursday on Southeastern 14. On Friday, we have Jake's Takes during football season. But welcome in. Thank you so much for tuning in to the channel that covers SEC sports daily and does it like nobody else. We have so much content being pumped out here. And if you not only enjoy SEC content, but you also think people with your clientele, with your business, people that you work with and it might benefit your business and advertising, then make sure to hit up Caroline.Smith at Southeastern14.com, and you can be an MVP and partner with us. As always, the show is presented by CHOMPS. Get yourself all that info in the description, some healthy snacks with lots of protein, things like that. But guys, let's get right to it. We have a lot to cover. It is Tuesday. Usually we go through and do injury reports and things like that. There's not a whole heck of a lot on the injury front, especially with some of the key matchups that we have to talk about. There were some season-ending things with Brew McCoy's ankle, terrible there, so we hate that for him. Also, Luke Haas with the collarbone for Arkansas. He is out for the remainder of the season. And then, of course, you have Tennessee with another couple nagging injuries, but they've got a bye week to get those right. South Carolina's banged up. Maybe Ja'Kai Moore will be able to get back for them by the Florida game. He had to sit out. Deontay Thornton was the other one I was going to mention for Tennessee, so we'll see if he's able to get out. That'll be big, him being back with Brew McCoy now being out for the remainder of the year. So those are the main ones on teams that have bye weeks and things like that. Deontay Lawson's still going to be out for this big matchup with Alabama and Texas A&M. But for the most part, guys, these teams are healthy, getting healthier. Georgia is likely to get not only Lawson lucky once he is available to play and ready to play, he'll be able to go. Austin Blasky shouldn't be too far behind, and Kentucky could get Kenneth Horsey back leading into this big matchup. But that is the game that I think a lot of people have circled, that one, and that Texas A&M Alabama game is the Georgia Kentucky game at night. So you got a bunch of games, kind of three layers of games here. The noon kickoff with Missouri taking on LSU. What an environment that's going to be. Then the 3:30 kick there, you have Texas A&M hosting Alabama in that CBS game, and then Georgia and Kentucky in the nightcap. Guys, I did want to say, with this Georgia home game and SEC home game, do you realize the last time the Georgia Bulldogs hosted an SEC night game at home, the last time they had a SEC night game in Athens, JT Daniels was still the starting quarterback for the Georgia Bulldogs. Stetson Bennett had not taken over yet. And since then, they've lost one game and have two national titles to their credit. So Georgia fans have been waiting a long time for this night contest, with Kentucky coming in after they just railroaded Florida, and everybody's questioning the Georgia run defense with Ray Davis coming in there. So I think it is going to be a unbelievable atmosphere. I will be there watching this one, seeing this go down between the Kentucky offensive line and the Georgia defensive front. And, I did want to go ahead and play a little bit of sound. We usually go through a bunch of injury stuff, but with not as much to go over, I wanted to do They Said It here on Southeastern 14 on the Morning Report. And I wanted to play this. This is Mark Stoops talking about his offensive line last week versus Florida, how they kind of helped Ray Davis go to that historic performance. He almost set the school record in that game against Florida. So listen to this from Mark Stoops, and we'll talk about it here afterwards.
I thought they, obviously played the best game of the year. They took some great pride in just straining of executing. We've talked about the communication, and I thought there would be an improvement there with Eli at center, and I think that showed improvement in the second week. And I just think their overall commitment and attitude the past several weeks have paid off some in that game, because they were obviously very motivated to get some movement at the first level and to really strain, and they did a good job.
So that's Mark Stoops on his offensive line there at Kentucky. What a big performance that was in terms of running the football against a Gators front that had been very stingy against the run. They kind of forced the Gators and magnified some things that the Gators were doing wrong in terms of misfitting gaps, running underneath blocks on gap scheme, all that kind of stuff. We'll go more in detail about that tonight with a live show with Noshawn Marino, Tavares King. But Noshawn Marino, former NFL running back, SEC running back, is going to be going in depth with us on that tonight. So make sure you tune in here on the channel. But he talked about the communication, and he talked about the second week of Eli Cox being at center and how that has kind of helped out with things up front in terms of communicating things, not only in the run game, pass protection, all that kind of stuff. So you're starting to see the benefits of that move there. Jagger Burton, of course, moved back to guard. They got Dylan Ray, who's a walk-on from Western Virginia, transferred in from Western Virginia, that's playing guard. If Kenneth Horsey comes back, then this is a very, very hard to handle big blue wall with Ray Davis running behind it. He's patient. He sets up those blocks, and they played physical against Florida. So that's a big challenge for Georgia coming in. As we talked about it, they had not been as stout against the run as they in this year as they have in previous years. They misfit some things, didn't set the edge a little bit against Auburn. I do want to say I think it's a little bit different of a run game. There is no real threat of quarterback run with Devin Leary. So I think it's more okay, focus on Ray Davis or focus on Jatalik McClain, whoever's in there at running back, and stop that. I think that's going to be kind of the main point. Liam Cohen probably have to use Barium Brown and things like that to kind of loosen Georgia up and get them going side to side for Ray Davis to be as effective as he was against Florida. So I think that's an interesting matchup, and I'm intrigued to see Smart and Schumann go up against the offensive mind of Liam Cohen and see how they design that run game. Now, speaking of Kirby Smart, he was asked about his quarterback, Carson Beck, and what he learned about him in this Auburn performance. So listen to this from Kirby Smart, and then we will comment on it right when we come back.
Most quarterbacks that start for the first time, you maybe don't know enough. I feel like I had this relationship, and I knew Carson, that I don't feel like I've learned a lot because I knew a lot. He had been in the system. Like, he had played, and he had not played in that environment. I'm not trying to exchange experience, but I'd been around the kid. He had been in the program. He had been in the offense. I'd seen him have good days on third down against our defense, have bad days. I'd seen him, make good decisions with the ball. He's really efficient. I guess the only thing I've learned is that he does have natural composure. I already thought that because that's the way he practices. But he doesn't get flustered very easily.
So that is Kirby Smart on his quarterback, Carson Beck. I just get so annoyed when I see people talk about even, Kirk Herbstreit put out the young quarterback, Carson Beck. This guy's not young, guys. He is a fourth-year college student. He has been in Georgia's system. Yes, he does not have as much game experience as some guys out there, but he has been around. As Kirby Smart mentioned, he has been competing when he was with the Twos against generational, unbelievable defenses the last two seasons in the 2021 Georgia Bulldog team, the 2022 Georgia Bulldog team. He was with the Twos going against the ones every single day. He's competed in that kind of environment on third downs, as Kirby Smart mentioned, in 2-minute drills, all of this kind of stuff. I don't think there's a whole lot you can throw at Carson Beck that he has not seen. We saw the clutch gene that he has against South Carolina, down, comes back in the rain, leads Georgia to 21 straight points, no problem. Comes back, big time environment on the road. Auburn, he handles some adversity early, comes back 16 for 20 in the second half, over 200 yards, game-winning touchdown drive there, finding Brock Bowers. Carson Beck is not young, okay? Carson Beck has been around, and he has seen things. He is getting some of these first out of the way in terms of as a starter, but I'm telling you, this guy's settling in. He's playing really good football. I've tweeted it out. I said Georgia would have 2 losses right now if it weren't for Carson Beck and his composure and his competitiveness and the way that has confidence just to rip the football down the field. Is there a couple throws that he's missed? Absolutely. He missed a wide open touchdown to Oscar Delp. That's going to happen. Okay. Can't happen as frequently as it has. He's missed him and Jackson Meeks in back-to-back games for touchdowns. So he's got to work on, hitting a couple of the layups there a little bit easier. But some of these throws that he's layering in between the second and third level, Carson Beck, I think, is playing a high level of football and really executes the Georgia offense. And you can see that Kirby Smart has been confident in him from the beginning. And part of that confidence came in what Kirby saw in practice. Someone that is also big on practice, where Kirby came from, Nick Saban, Alabama. It's not something that should shock people when you see Nick Saban still this many years into his tenure at Alabama and trying to get his team back to a championship level is talking about practice. Yes, I know the Allen Iverson thing could play that right here, but I'm not. It's all about practice with Nick Saban, and I thought his comments on this Alabama team and their practice habits were interesting. Here's Nick Saban this week in his press conference.
I think the whole team needs to grow every week. I think that, there's so many things that we can improve on. There's so many things that, if we can learn and pay attention to detail and have a sense of urgency and sustain that, whether it's practice, games, whatever, we're going to eliminate some of, our negatives that have proven, pretty costly. I mean, you can say we won the game, but you want to eliminate, some of the mistakes, because you always look at the play and say, okay, did they make a play because of what they did and how they executed it? Or was there some error on our part that allowed them to make a play? And those are the things you need to eliminate, because then you're playing with a little more consistency. And the whole object is to make the other team beat you. Don't beat yourself.
So there's Nick Saban. You heard him say a little bit more consistency. I had a coach one time, and it stuck with me my entire life, that said, hey, the only true measure of greatness is consistency. Alabama, throughout the tenure of Nick Saban, consistency has been the calling card. They have consistently executed and dominated, just with a level of attention to detail, like he said, a level of, intentionality that no one else has over this long run since 2007 of him being there. So when it comes down to it, that's what he's looking at. That's a macro level of the Alabama program, for a long time. But the micro level here this year, I think he's still looking for that out of his players in key positions. The offensive line played really well this time against Mississippi State. I think you saw that attention to detail. You saw that fight, that intentionality from Tyler Booker, from J.C. Latham. I think he's still looking for it out of his quarterback. Jalen Milroe did some really good things with his legs, made a couple of throws down the field that were good, but still things, holding the football a little bit too long, just not really on defense all the time, being in the right places with their fits and things like that. They're breaking in some new linebackers right there in terms of Deontay Lawson being out. So trying to find, they've moved Jeremiah Alexander inside. Is he going to end up playing there? Because they had Tresman Marshall and Jihad Campbell playing there this week. Or are they totally confident in that? They moved Alexander over. We'll see with Deontay Lawson out. But there were some misfits at times in the run game. You allowed Mississippi State to have maybe a little bit more momentum at certain points in that game than they should have. Didn't extend drives early on. So I think Alabama's looking to, as good as they've been, I think this fits right in Nick Saban's wheelhouse of saying, hey, I know we're a really talented team, but I know that this is a team that I can point out flaws to, and I can motivate to become better in practice and practice at an elite level. And I think that's right what Nick Saban wants. The more that he is able to, kind of put his fingerprints on a team and be hands-on and be involved and get things going. And I think you're going to see him at a level this year more so than the last few years. I think he's going to have his kind of, like I said, his fingerprints, his hands all over this team in terms of trying to see how they're going to be shaped going forward, more so maybe than he did in other years when he had transcendent talents like a Bryce Young, like a Tua Tagovailoa, where it was kind of, okay, we're going to go out and outscore everybody. I think Nick Saban is molding this more into the image of his teams of old, and I think that's intriguing to see. Now, on the other side of the Alabama-Texas A&M matchup, you have Ainias Smith, and Ainias Smith is a very talented player for Texas A&M, but Ainias Smith had some comments here on the matchup with Alabama. Ainias Smith's brother, Maurice Smith, played for Nick Saban in Alabama, so there's a lot of familiarity there. And, of course, Ainias Smith has played well against Alabama in the past, so is Texas A&M. So he was asked in a press conference this week about confidence against Alabama and, what it's like going up in that matchup. And I thought it was interesting what Ainias Smith said. So here were his comments from the press conference on Monday.
Yes, I believe that definitely gives me a little bit more confidence. Knowing Nick, I know exactly what it is that he wants from his defense, from his offense, and just being able to, I guess you could say, go into the game plan and know those things, then you can be able to, then you can go in just, like Coach sometimes says, knowing the answers before the test, you know what I'm saying? But it all starts today in practice, just making sure that we stay on point with our details, execution, and really just making sure that we just do every little thing right.
So there's Ainias Smith talking about being so familiar with Alabama. It feels like kind of he knows the answers before the test. Of course, his brother Maurice, like I said, played safety for Alabama before transferring over to Georgia with Kirby Smart. So that was a while back. But a lot of the principles of this Alabama defense are the same with Nick Saban there. We've said it doesn't matter who the coordinator is. It doesn't matter if it's Kevin Steele. It doesn't matter if it's T-Rob, as Lane Kiffin suggested. A lot of these principles of Nick Saban's defense are going to remain the same. And he feels like he knows a little bit of that inwards and out, backwards and forwards. So Ainias Smith has a lot of confidence going into this matchup. Don't know that I would have referred to him as Nick. I probably would have said Coach Saban. If this was Deion Sanders, he would take that personal. He would say, "You didn't call me Coach Prime," all this kind of stuff. You call me Deion, so that he would say it's personal. So we'll see what Nick Saban has to say about that, but or if he even notices that. But I think it's interesting that these Texas A&M players do have confidence, and they should. They're a talented team, very good team. Of course, so is Alabama. That defense, Jimbo Fisher couldn't have been more complimentary of Alabama, so he was trying to put to bed all that stuff from, the last couple of years, the drama of him and Saban, but he just went through list after list after list of things that Alabama was great at in his press conference. But Ainias Smith, you can tell behind closed doors, and players, a lot of times they will speak the parts that coaches want, and there's a lot of confidence on that side in Texas A&M. You can see in our predictions and previews, Chris Lee here on the network on Southeastern 14 likes Texas A&M. I'm taking Alabama in a close one, but that's going to be an intriguing matchup over there between those teams. Now, time to have a little fun here on Southeastern 14 and giving out some SEC superlatives this week, giving out some awards, some players that I think deserve to be recognized for their performances. And, we're going to do it in a fashion that I think you'll enjoy as well. Speaking of Ainias Smith, he had a tremendous punt return. So Ainias Smith is going to earn what I call the Cal Naughton Jr. from Ricky Bobby Magic Man of the Week award goes to Ainias Smith.
Hey, what? I'm the Magic Man now. Yeah.
He is the Magic Man. If you saw that punt return, my goodness, he goes backward. The ball bounces. He goes backwards, cuts back across the field, ends up scoring a touchdown. He is an explosive guy. So he is the Cal Naughton Jr., Ricky Bobby Magic Man of the Week, Ainias Smith. He can do so many things for this Texas A&M team, but just being able to contribute on special teams like that and really put a dagger in Arkansas during that matchup, that was huge for Texas A&M. So, as I said, the Cal Naughton Jr., Ricky Bobby Magic Man of the Week, Ainias Smith.
Hey, what? I'm the magic man now.
Yeah. And next, we're going to go on the defensive side of the ball. There was a particular player that really just wreaked havoc on his opponent. Just time and time again was in the backfield. And this is a guy who, when you're talking about disrupting things, you have to affect the quarterback. Jimbo Fisher talked about in his press conference against Alabama. He goes, how is DJ Durkin going to affect the quarterback? He goes, I ask our coordinator that every time. Well, one young man that affected the quarterback a lot and was kind of in that wall there that you build along the front seven was James Pierce Jr. for Tennessee. So the Colonel, Nathan R. Jessup, you need me on that wall, defender of the week, is James Pierce from Tennessee.
Talk about it, parties. You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
Yeah, needed him on that wall for sure. James Pierce, 9 quarterback pressures. That was 15% of South Carolina's snaps during the game. I mean, he was absolutely on fire. That was more than any other player in college football in week 5. And James Pierce is the Colonel Nathan R. Jessup, you need me on that wall, defender of the week.
Talk about it, parties. You want me on that wall. You need me on that wall.
Next, this one may be, one of my favorite ones. When you talk about running backs and you talk about a mentality and somebody that got downhill and just didn't care and would literally run through your face, it was Marshawn Lynch, of course, the Cal Bear that would go on to be a Seattle Seahawk, a Raider, all these kind of things in the NFL. Did a great job and now is doing some really fun media stuff. Going to be the Marshawn Lynch Run Through Their Face Running Back of the Week award, and that is going to go to none other than Ray Davis.
When it just clicked in my mind that if you just run through somebody's face, a lot of people ain't going to be able to take.
They ain't going to be able to take that. And Ray Davis was doing that to Florida. He just ran through their face, not only running through people 180-something yards after contact, but also showing the speed and the burst to get out and get away from them. Florida misfit and went underneath the puller on the backside. Or on the front side of the play defensively, the backside guard or the backside tackle that would wrap around, they continually went under it, and Ray Davis just took advantage of that. That was a great job. So the Marshawn Lynch Run Through Their Face Running Back of the Week award goes to Ray Davis. And then we have the last one, maybe my favorite one here, is a receiver. It can be a receiver or a tight end that just continually finds ways to get wide open. And when it was a key deal there at the end of the game for Georgia, Carson Beck found a wide open Brock Bowers. So the Dixie Chicks wide open spaces receiver of the week goes to Brock Bowers.
Wide open spaces.
Yeah, so Brock Bowers is the Dixie Chicks wide open spaces receiver of the week. It doesn't matter if he was covered, he was still open. Brock Bowers, if he's one-on-one, the old saying, if he's even, he's leaving. Well, if he's got any kind of, one-on-one matchup, Carson Beck thinks, okay, that's open, and he's going to get him the football. Brock Bowers is on pace to be the second all-time leading receiver at Georgia. He's on pace to be, the second or third tight end, most productive tight end in college football history in 3 years when the others did it in 4. Just tremendous. He's going to probably be the second if he, remaining healthy and everything like that. He's probably going to be the only the second receiver in Georgia history as a tight end, mind you, not even a receiver, to surpass 1,000 yards in a season. So it is a tremendous job that Brock Bowers is doing. I think he can go down as the greatest tight end in the history of college football. Honestly, I really think he's that good. I think he's going to be a Travis Kelce, George Kittle type in the NFL. He's going to be fantastic And who knows, he may be dating somebody like Taylor Swift one day because of it, with the way Travis Kelce's going. So thank you guys for tuning in here to Southeastern 14. We like to have a lot of fun on these shows. And if you think it is a fun show, if you think it is a show that puts out great SEC content, we would love to partner with you. So you can contact Caroline.Smith@southeastern14.com if your business would like to advertise with us. We would love to work with you and promote your products and services if you think they'll fit this audience. And then, of course, you can get a discount on CHOMPS. Guys, CHOMPS, a healthy protein snack. They have turkey, venison, beef. The beef jalapeno is my favorite flavor. So tune in each and every morning. We appreciate you. Also, like I said, go in that description and get you some CHOMPS with 15% off. Thank you so much for just choosing us as a place to get daily SEC content. As always, thank you for being in the chat. You can follow me on Twitter using @BGilmer18, or on X now, formerly known as Twitter. @14 Southeastern is the account for the channel, for the network here. So thank you so much. We appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you next time to talk more SEC football as we go into keys of the game next tomorrow morning. We go into keys of the game, keys to victory for each team. And then also tonight at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, myself, Tavares King, Noshawn Marino will be live for players section on Southeastern 14. We'll see you guys tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in, and have a great day.